What's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Hearthstone Power. Today we are looking at the Shaman cards based on the votes from the last video. I was tied for the Paladin and the Shaman, and I'm choosing the Shaman because I did play a deck a few times on Cockatrice, so I'm a little bit more familiar, a little bit better apt to review the cards. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, so our hero is the Shaman hero Thrall, and his hero ability, which costs 2 mana, obviously, is randomly summon a Healing Stream Totem, Stoneclaw Totem, or Searing Totem. And the Healing Stream Totem, what it does is it heals your whole team, including your hero, for 1 at the end of the turn. The Stoneclaw Totem has Taunt, and by the way, yeah, that's a 0. I believe it's a 0/1, and I think Healing Stream Totem is a 0/1 as well. And the final totem is the Searing Totem. That's a 1/1 that has no other abilities. Now I think they're going to tweak the different totems because there's another totem that's not summonable as a card. I think it's the Wrath of Air or something like that, where there might be another totem. So it's also unknown at this time if you can get duplicate totems. So I'm sure these are things they're iterating on in the beta right now. So that is the hero ability, and let's look at the rest of the cards. Alright, so these are the Shaman cards. Now I know there's some leaked cards that came out right now from another resource of Hearthstone stuff, and don't know if I'm going to review those just yet because I don't know how official they are. So for now I'm just going to stick to the ones that we've seen, and then if time allows we'll go into it in another video. So for now we're going to look at the ones that we've seen. So we have Alakir the Windlord, which is a 8 mana, 3 attack, and 5 toughness. It has all kinds of abilities. Wind Fury, meaning it can attack twice. Charge, meaning it can attack the turn it comes into play. Divine Shield, and Taunt. Now, I don't need to tell you guys this is a fantastic card. It's a little steep on the mana cost, but if you look at what you're getting, it's a pretty powerful card. I do think this card will be in every Shaman deck. I mean, it is legendary, so you can only have one, but I mean, you really can't go wrong using this thing. It's you're going to be able to. The fact that it has Charge and Wind Fury means you can probably take out 2 minions on 1 turn. You can break something else that has Divine Shield. It itself has Divine Shield, so it's going to be able to, if there's a minion that would survive, or it would, it has a lot of damage, that it would deal damage to Alakir, it wouldn't on its first attack. So this is a pretty powerful minion. Could stand to have a little bit more attack, but I mean, come on, it's got Wind Fury, so it's very powerful. So this card's definitely a 5 out of 5. Alright, next we have Ancestral Healing. Restore a minion to full health for 0 mana. I'm not big on healing cards, but whenever you have something that costs nothing, you have to really pay attention to it because it means you can, it doesn't cost you anything, and these kinds of cards are really powerful. So I'm deciding between a 3 out of 5 and a 4 out of 5. I think I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 5 because minions don't really survive that long. I mean, the only time you're going to really want to use this is if you have something that has a lot of health. So I mean, you're not going to want to use this on something that has 3 health and it's taking one damage, But I mean, there's a time for it. So I'm going to give it. I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Yeah, 3 out of 5. All right, Ancestral Spirit. Choose a minion. When that minion is destroyed, return it to the battlefield. I actually really like this card because you can play it on a big creature, and now the opponent has to destroy it twice. And for 2 mana, that's pretty good. I mean, you play this on Alakir, and you're looking really good. And I believe it triggers Battlecry effects. If you can play this on something that has Battlecry, it should get its Battlecry effect again. So I would include 2 of this in my Shaman deck. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Alright, Bloodlust. Not much to say about this card. We've all seen this card if you've seen the videos. Gives your minions +3 attack this turn for 5 mana. This is probably going to be a staple in every Shaman deck, so I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. I mean, it's Bloodlust. Nothing more to say than that. Alright, next up we have Doomhammer. For 5 mana, you're getting a 2 attack, 8 durability weapon that has Wind Fury. Giving your hero Wind Fury is epic. Yes, it has Overload, but that's I'm willing to pay to lose 2 mana on my next turn to get this guy in play. I mean, thank God it has 8 durability because you're going to be attacking with this twice per turn. So you've got great versatility on this. You can clear out minions. You can do lots of damage to the enemy hero. If you want to play weapons in your Shaman deck, let's say you're not playing, you don't have to play weapons in your deck. You could be playing typical, just minions and spells if you want. But if you are going to include weapons in your deck, which I would, this is a card I would definitely include. This is a 5 out of 5 weapon. It's fantastic. All right, next we got a little Dust Devil, 1 mana for a 3/1 with Wind Fury. It does have Overload, but you can bring this in on. The idea is to play this on turn 1. And you'll be able to hit the enemy on turn 2 for 6 damage, if you can. That's if he doesn't have any minion with taunt. So in some situations, this is going to be a very nice card to have, very aggressive if you can get it early on. Later in the game, the 1 toughness is kind of weak, and the fact that if you play this card and then on your opponent's turn they destroy it, now it's got 1 toughness. It's very easy to kill, and now you're stuck with the Overload. Next turn you got to pay 2 mana. So I'm going to give this card a 3 out of 5. But if you can play around it and you can play it very aggressively and stuff like that, then this is a better card than that. But overall, 3 out of 5. All right, Earthshock. Deal 1 damage to a minion and silence it. I'm going to give this card a 4 out of 5 right off the bat, just because it costs 1 resource and you can silence the minion. The 1 damage is extra. That's just, if you happen to have a situation where you need to do 1 extra damage to a minion to finish it off, fine, use your Earthshock, but being able to silence a minion, removing all text from it for 1 resource is very good. I think this is a very versatile card, and I actually like it better than Frost Shock, which you'll see later down the list. So this is a 4 out of 5. Alright, Feral Spirit. You get, for 3 resources, you get 2 3 Spirit Wolves with Taunt. It does have Overload for 2, so you're losing 2 mana on your next turn. But you're getting pretty good board control with this. You're going to have 2 minions, both with Taunt, that have a decent amount of attack and a pretty good amount of toughness for 3 resources. Heck yeah, that's going to be a really good card. I think this is going to be another staple in the Shaman decks. It just really helps you survive, and it's in the following turn, you're going to be able to do 4 damage. That's pretty good for 3 mana. Yes, technically it costs 5 mana, so you're using 2 on your next turn. But still, they do have taunt. I think this is a really good card. I'm going to give this card a 4 out of 5. Alright, Fire Elemental. I'm not sure what's going on here, so we're going to skip this one. Alright, the Flame Tongue Totem. I really like this card. The second I found out that when you summon your creatures, you can actually determine where you put them down. You actually can physically say, I'm going to put this minion in the middle of these 2 minions, or to the right or to the left. The second I found that out, I immediately thought of this totem, because you can put this in the middle of 2 guys, or maybe even 2 totems that have 0 attack. Like, imagine you have a Healing Stream totem on the left, and you have, the Stoneclaw totem on the right, and have 0 attack. You throw this guy in the middle, and now suddenly your totems are a threat. Your totems that normally have no attack have 2 attack each. So this is a really fun totem, and I think it's just really versatile. I'm going to give this card a 4 out of 5. I think this is going to be in every Shaman deck as well. Alright, Forked Lightning. For 2 mana, you're dealing 3 damage to 2 random enemy minions, but with an Overload cost. Mentioning it again that I'm not a fan of random attacks, but you can control the random in some situations. If they've only got 2 enemy minions, now you're definitely, you're not really random. You know exactly what's happening. And even then, the random here it's going to help you. In some situations, it's just not going to be bad no matter what it is. If they've got 3 minions and they're all equal threat to you, and you need any 2 of them to die because you can finish off the 3rd in another way, the random doesn't hurt you. So I think this is a really good card. I think you're going to see this in a lot of decks. If you've noticed, I've given the Shaman cards really high reviews, and that's just because I think almost all their cards are really good. After playing the Shaman in the game simulation program, I'm really enjoying it. I really like direct damage, and I feel like it's weird. The Shaman has more direct damage attacks than the Mage does. The only difference is the Shaman's is, I feel, a little more powerful, but they have the Overload fee. But other than that, they're really good, and I've played a direct damage deck, which maybe I'll talk about in another video, and they're very powerful. So Forked Lightning, I'm giving this card a 4 out of 5, just because it can clear the board. You can get really good card advantage with this card. Alright, Frost Shock. This deals 1 damage to an enemy character and freezes it. This is the only card I think I'm not going to give that high of a review. I'm actually going to give it a 2 out of 5. It's still good because it can do 1 damage for 1 resource and it freezes the enemy. The problem is freeze isn't huge. You either want to deal 1 damage to the enemy character because you want to finish it off somehow, so it dies, so you don't get to utilize the freeze, or you're using this just to freeze that creature so it can't attack you in the following turn. So it's not, I mean, it's not like you want to, I mean, very rarely are you going to be able to say, okay, I really need to deal 1 damage to this creature, and I want to freeze it. That's not going to happen all the time. So I'm giving this card a 2 out of 5. It's just not as versatile as Earthshock. Okay, Hex. Hex will, well, it will transform a minion into a 0/1 frog with taunt. Think of like Polymorph, except they're not getting a 1/1, they're getting a 0/1 with taunt. So it can't do any damage, but you are forced to attack it. And it does cost 3 resources. I forgot how much Polymorph costs off the top of my head. I think it's around the same. But this is a cool card. Now imagine comboing this with Frost Shock or Earth Shock or something like that. But then again, you're spending 2 cards to get rid of 1 creature. But I mean, if it's a really powerful creature, it might be your only option. The fact that it gives it taunt makes it, I think, a little bit worse than Polymorph. But I mean, it does have 0 attack, so it's not like it's going to do any damage to whoever you attack it with. So I do think Hex is a good card. I just feel like it's not as good as just killing the creature off with a direct damage spell. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. Okay, Lightning Bolt. I think this card is very simple and very powerful, and I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5, just because of how simple and direct it is. 1 mana and deals 3 damage. This will take out many of the early game creatures. Yes, it has Overload, but it's not a huge deal. But 3 damage direct is really good. For 1 mana, I think this is going to be a 2 of in every Shaman deck, at least for creature destruction. That's a 5 out of 5. Alright, Lightning Storm. 2 to 3 damage to all enemy minions with Overload. This is another one of those board clearing cards. Yes, it's 2 to 3 damage, so I can't decide if it's better or worse than Forked Lightning. Let's look at Forked Lightning again. This is 2 mana, and you can deal 3 damage to 2 enemy minions, so that's 6 damage total. Lightning Storm, let's say in the same situation, might only deal 4 damage if there were 2 minions on the board, but it might do 3. This is going to be more for when you have a bunch of little creatures. So if you're playing against, like let's say, an example, a Paladin. Paladin summoning all those 1/1s. This is a better card. So it really just depends on the situation. I think I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 just because of the randomness, because it might deal 2 damage and it might not do what you want. I think the situation I'm going to use this in is when there are minions that I need to destroy that have 2 toughness. I'm not going to rely on it to kill 3 toughness creatures. So I think it's a little bit less versatile than Forked Lightning, but it can do a lot of damage across the board to enemy minions. Alright, next up we have Mana Spring Totem, which does nothing. Mana Tide Totem, man, this is broken as heck. Also does nothing, but for 3 resources, I mean, what a bargain, right? Here's another incomplete card. Alright, on to the Stormforged Axe. This is just a simple weapon. It's 2 attack and 3 durability for 2 resources. So you're looking at 4 damage total for, if you want to break it down, like 3 mana. So nowhere near as good as the Doomhammer, but I mean, if you need to play more weapons, this is you don't really have a lot of choices, but this is not really that exciting. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. But if you really just want a basic weapon, go for this card. Alright, Wind Fury. When this card on its own, I mean, it gives the minion Wind Fury and it costs resources. But on its own, it's not very exciting. But just think of all the possibilities of this with this card. You can throw this on something that's hard hitting, a high attack minion, and you get to attack with it twice. I mean, this can end games. If you throw this on a big creature and the opponent doesn't have taunt on the field, I mean, you're going to deal extra damage to the hero. So I think this is a good card. It's just hard to want to take up a slot in your library with this card, because if you're in a position where you're trying to draw cards and you're short minions and you draw this card, you're saying, oh crap, on its own it's not very good. So I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. But I mean, it's a good card. Giving a creature Wind Fury is very exciting, but at the same time, it's on its own, it's just average. So this is an average card, 3 out of 5. Alright, now Windspeaker. Now, it's appropriate that I'm reviewing this right after Wind Fury, because if you look, this costs 4 resources, this costs 2. Now, I would much rather play this card. For 2 more resources, you are still getting the Wind Fury effect, but you're getting a creature, along the same lines at the same time that you're playing another card. So I think it's this is a 2-for-1 if you look at Wind Fury next to it. I would rather play Windspeaker than play Wind Fury. 4 resources, 3/3 creature. I think that's really good. Now the interesting thing is, can you give Wind Fury to this creature if this is the only creature you have in play? I think that's the difference between making this a really great card and a pretty good card. I don't want to give it a 5 out of 5 because it's not completely broken, but I think it is. If this guy can buff himself, he is definitely a 4 out of 5 because that's really, really good for 4 resources. But I don't think he can, so I think I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 out of 5. I wouldn't say it's as bad as Wind Fury, but this is a really good card, and I think you're gonna see this creature in almost every Shaman deck. All right, guys, this has been my Shaman review, my Shaman deck list review. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, we're gonna take a poll. What I'll do is I'll copy the class count from the last video, and I'll bring it forward to this one, and I'll erase the Shaman number. The way we can keep that poll going. And it's possible I'll do the Paladin next if I want to make one soon and I don't see enough votes. But I don't really get that many counts. I get maybe 10 votes total. So if you guys are watching the video and you want to see another class soon, just post it in the comments below so I can see your opinion on which one you want to see next. All right. Hope you guys had a great weekend, and everyone's off tomorrow for Memorial Day, right? I know I am. So I'm excited about that. I wish I had some Hearthstone to play. But don't worry, guys. Soon. Yeah, soon. Summertime is coming. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Time to Hearth out.